I'd like to call the Tuesday, May 20, 2014 City Council meeting to order. Can I ask you to please rise for our invocation and our pledge that will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Heavenly Father, on Memorial Day, Americans will pause with solemn gratitude and deep respect for all of our fallen servicemen and women who have given their lives for our country and our freedom. Through the generations, the courageous and selfless patriots of our armed forces have secured our liberty and borne its great and precious cost. When it has mattered most, patriots from every corner of our nation have taken up arms to uphold the ideals that make our country a beacon of hope and freedom for the entire world. By answering the call of duty with valor and unrelenting determination, they have set a standard of courage and idealism that inspires us all. Today, the members of our armed forces follow in a proud tradition handed down to them by the heroes that served before them. They are protecting our nation, advancing the blessings of freedom, and laying the foundation for a more peaceful tomorrow through service that exemplifies the good and decent character of our nation. America is grateful to all those who have worn the uniform of the armed forces of the United States, and we will never forget their sacrifices for our liberty. On Memorial Day, we will honor all of those who have fallen by remembering their noble sacrifice for freedom. We also pray for our troops, their families, and for peace. In your name, we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and once again, welcome to the Tuesday, May 20th meeting. As always, a great invocation by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask. Thank you for that. Just a little bit of housekeeping. At the last minute, we had a change of batting order. Our pinch hitter and city manager, Bruce Haddock, had to go to the bullpen. He didn't feel so good. And stepping in is our city clerk, Ann Stefan. Filling in for Ann is our deputy city clerk, Kathy Horvath. And I know why you all are really here. It's not to complain about Gull Air or to fight for a site plan, but it's to acknowledge that our very own city clerk, Miss Ann Stefan, was awarded Citizen of the Year for the city of Oldsmar. Gotcha! My job to embarrass Ann. Once again, thank you and welcome. Our first item tonight is our Citizens Open Forum. It allows you to address the council. We only have a couple of rules. Keep it to less than 5 minutes. State your name and address clearly for the record, and also speak towards nothing on the agenda. Seeing no one, I'll close the Citizens Open Forum. No. We'll start with this side that would like to address the council. Raise your hand. Jerry? Go next.
Jerry Cuss, number 10, Bay Chamber of Commerce, 101 State Street. First of all, if I could, I'd like to ask Mr. Trask for a copy of your prayer. If you could, I'd like to post that on the website.
Sure.
That was a beautiful prayer. Thank you. Second, I will, didn't even think about that, but I will have to miss the Oldsmar ceremony because I will be the MC at the Curling Memory Gardens Memorial Day ceremony. And third, the main thing I wanted to say is, in line with your prayer, this will be our 6th annual Freedom Fest, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to honor our veterans. Memorial Day right next to City Hall, and so for all thousands of people here and on TV, we'd like to invite them out there to do that. We'll have a great time to do that, and we're happy to be able to surprise Ann Stefan. And since we mentioned that, we might also say that let everybody know that City Council member Janice Miller was awarded our Upper Tampa Bay Cup Award as our Citizen of the Upper Tampa Bay Cup.
And her husband Ruben's in the back and was shocked to see that. So congratulations to Janice too. We continue to work in her name for sure. Anybody else on this side? Saw a hand here. Yep, come on up.
Hi, my name's George Comey. I live at 539 Canal Way. And I believe a lot of these people from Gull Air Village, they'll probably be speaking to you also. We're concerned about what's going on in the back of the canal right now. You know, I know you've had this trail plan for quite a while. But Lynn, I thought I saw him. Is he here? Lynn? Oh yeah, he's in the corner. He showed up at our clubhouse a couple weeks ago, and somebody should have came with him. He kind of caught some flack, you know. But it's just the way it came down. This is the first time that people of Gull Air have heard that this trail is going to be 15 feet wide, which going from the Shell Trail. And I believe this is the only part of your trail system that would run behind a senior housing complex, you know? And that's what ours is, 55 and older, I'm sure you know. So having 15 feet, I believe that's a bit much. You know, asphalt, there's gonna be drainage problems, we feel, and things like that. But I remember I approached you about a year and a half ago about some of the problems. I live right on the canal, and we've had dogs running loose all the time, and some people walk 4 dogs, they're all running loose. I brought pictures in here, if you recall, and I remember Janice Miller at the time, and very sorry to hear about her passing, but she said, that's an $88 fine. And I says, well, that's real good, but who's going to enforce it? You know what I mean? Maybe Rick Serra goes out there about once a month when he has, you know, a patrol car. I've seen him out there a few times, but there's not much enforcement. And just about everything that Lynn came up against when he was at the clubhouse, he really didn't have any answers for us. You know, I'm sure most people would agree. Everything was, well, call 911 or call the sheriff's department, and Oldsmar is the one that's bringing these people behind our houses, you know. I mean, if something goes wrong, it's nice to think that we're gonna call 911 or this or that, but we got motorcycles going up there right now, and that's on a Shell Trail, you know. We got all kinds of traffic going up there. They're working on some kind of pipe up there now, a gas pipe by the bridge, and you ought to see the convoy of trucks going up and down there in the morning. You know, big trucks with generators on them and all kinds of stuff. And this is behind our houses, you know, and it starts at 7:30 in the morning. So I imagine a 15-foot paved, you know, road is going to bring more traffic. So that's what I'm concerned about, and I'm bringing it to your attention. The signs for the dogs that they got to be on leashes should have gone up a year and a half ago. You know, that's when I came here when I was on the board of directors and approached them, and Lynn said, yeah, we'll get the signs up, you know, but that's all part of his big plan. I don't know when the signs are going to come. It's going to get asphalted first by the looks of it. So anyways, thank you for your time. I'm sure half these other people would like to speak.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Anybody else on that side? Yep, come on up.
Dean Robbins, 518 Canal Way. I'm a fairly heavy user of the trail right now. I walk my dog on it just about every day. I do exercise walks going all the way over to Forest Lakes and back, and I ride my bike down to Mobley. There is no spot on the trail in all that distance where the trail is 15 feet wide. The part that was just paved last year, running from Forest Lakes up to the footbridges, is 9 feet wide, and I noticed there's about 3 feet of sod put on either side of it. So I don't understand why we need a 15-foot wide pavement. That's really excessive for the purpose that it's supposed to be. One vehicle can fit on a 9-foot wide path, and that's all that should be out there at any time is one vehicle. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
This side? Yep.
I have petitions.
Okay, can you give them to the deputy clerk, please? Thank you.
My name is Wendy Riley, 353 Canal Way, and I thank each of you for your time this past 2 weeks, and especially Anne for all that she's done in regard to getting contracts for me and investigating so that I could investigate some of the things that have gone on. And I'm going to read this so that I stay within the 5 minutes and get everything in. I am presenting petitions with 113 names of residents of Gull Air. We can provide more if needed. Many of our residents have left to go up north for the summer. We are requesting the section of the Oldsmar Trail along the Tarpon Outfall Canal be, number 1, 8 to 10 feet wide, not the 15-foot width that is proposed. Number 2, drainage issues should be addressed prior to construction. Number 3, the trail be constructed with concrete rather than asphalt. Asphalt is a petroleum product and should not be placed along our beautiful canal waters, which is home to a lot of wildlife, including manatee, fish, birds, dolphin, and gators. I know Oldsmar has received a green certification, so I know that the environment is important to you too. On Sunday, I walked the just recently completed section of the Oldsmar Trail with my measuring tape between Forest Lakes Boulevard and Sheffield Park. The width of the trail varied and was between 7 foot 11 inches to 15 feet. Some sections of the trail were concrete and some sections were asphalt. As I came into the East Lake Oaks and Harbor Palms area, the trail seemed to end. There was no signage regarding the Oldsmar Trail, but there were bike lanes and 4.5 feet of concrete sidewalks. Many cars were parked in the bike lanes, and the sidewalks were broken up in several areas. I would ask someone to answer as to why those neighborhoods don't have 10-foot sidewalks as part of the trail, as are being built in other neighborhoods in Oldsmar. And that can be answered when I'm done speaking after my 5 minutes. But obviously, adjustments can be made to the trail in regard to the width. I also have for you an email from Ken Sidovich, and I hope I've said that right, dated today. I know that each of you have received something from him in support of the trail. But what he says is, as a member of the Oldsmar Leisure Services Advisory Board since 2008, now do realize that I have no opposition to the Oldsmar Trail running behind Gull Air Village, where I reside. My position has always been that the trail will be for the greater good of all citizens. This is not to say that I am insensitive to my neighbors who live on Canal Way and face the canal/trail. To the best of recollection, I cannot recall discussions at our advisory board meetings regarding the width of the trail along the Outfall Canal. Personally, I have no problem with a 10 to 12 foot width. And last but not least, I have a specific request from Arthur and Janine Nitsky of 516 Canal Way. And they have written, we both fully support the proposals that are requested. We are unable to attend the meeting on May 20th. Save our beautiful canal, please. And what you need to know about Art and Janine is that they are homebound. Their only enjoyment of the trail is their view of the canal. I ask that Mayor Beavis and the City Council members grant our request. I have reviewed several city contracts, and because Ajax Paving Industries does both concrete and asphalt, and in fact did do both concrete and asphalt in Phase 4, which they've just completed, I believe our request can be granted. Thank you. Now, if someone can answer that question as to why Eastlake Oaks and Harbor Palms do not have 10-foot sidewalks, when that portion of the trail is complete, according to Mr. Reeves.
We'll try and get you an answer.
Right away.
Pardon?
Try and get you an answer on that.
Okay.
I believe I know the answer.
Okay?
The city didn't have the right of way.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Okay. There was a right-of-way issue in that particular case?
Yep.
Anybody else on this side? Yes?
My name is Mary Ellen Hastings, and I live at 515 Canal Way. I have been an Oldsmar resident and Gaulier resident for 15 years. I came here as of course, I was one of the younger people that moved into Gaulier, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at all these old people. Well, here I am, 15 years later. And I want to tell you how proud I am of Oldsmar. If any of you were here 15 years ago, you probably all were, it didn't look like this. And I was, came from up north, and it was in my dream house and in my dream community, and it was gorgeous. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm moving to Oldsmar. And you know what, you guys, you brought it up. It's gorgeous. I'm so proud to live here. But my subject is the disconnect that's recently happened between Gaulier Village and the city. I love the city. I do fundraisers for the city. I just sent a check to the city for my profits from a fundraiser I did for the business that I own, candle business. And we have worked with Pat Rayner from the fire department 3 years in a row for a fundraiser. And I gave all of my profit, not part of it, not a percent, I gave it all. And I worked with Heidi Brennan for a couple fundraisers. And the last fundraiser was a little bit low. And so I invited all my Gaulier friends, all my neighbors to my house, and we gave all the profits to the city.
I don't want to cut you short, but I don't want you to run out of time.
I'm sorry.
To address the actual trail, if that's what you want to address. I'm fine listening to your.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. I just want to reestablish the communication. When I first moved into Gaulier, and for the first few years, Jerry would come over, other members of the council would come over, and they would ask us our concerns, and we would tell them our concerns. They would help us to understand things. They would ask us for our votes, and of course, we would give them the votes. And we had a good communication there. The people today, I got to speak to almost 100 people this past week, and a lot of them think that Gaulier has been forgotten. And I know different. There is a discommunication right now, but it's not permanent. I'm sure it isn't. And I'd just like to get back to that. We have other things that in sidewalks that need to be improved, and other issues. And we hope to get back to the communication level that we had a few years ago. Thank you.
We do. I will tell you that we do have a neighborhood advisory council that some people from Gaulier come to and attend, and it was a monthly, but then it's gone to a quarterly, and now it's more of an online because we got no participation from any of the communities, including Gaulier. Periodically, one or two people would show up, but we did try and communicate through our neighborhood advisory committee what's going on in the city, and we've been doing that for how many years? 4, 5 years, Jim? When you
At least, yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. We've been doing that monthly to try and get out to all the communities, not just Gaulier, but to do exactly what you said, which is to hear not just the trail, but hear about other issues that you may have or concerns and things like that. So we do listen. I mean, we listened about the golf cart issue too. So we'll try and definitely reestablish that. Anybody else from that side? Anybody from this side?
Yeah, gentleman over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll come back to you. Come on. I already acknowledge you. I don't need you mad at me.
Richard Ruby, Gaulier Village, 556.
Did you see that?
What?
They all laughed.
556 Dove Terrace West. I have no complaints. I learned a long time ago to argue with you people. Forget it. It's a losing fact. The only thing that bothers me, and I've had experience with it before, is the people coming over the fence all the way around. And all you're doing is just inviting them more. You're giving them better footing to run around in, and I can see your crime rate going up. That's all. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, my name is Ronald Riley. I'm Wendy Riley's husband, and I live at 353 Canal Way. The only thing I wanted to bring to your attention is my background is civil engineering, and I've worked in the construction and development industry for over 30 years. I just want to make sure that whatever kind of trail that the city puts in is adequate to accommodate the traffic that's going to be on it. I know we're not going to encourage any kind of vehicular traffic, but this last week, for instance, it's been a parade of cars going up and down, and I found out just yesterday that what they're doing is it's just a test on the gas valves, and they have to, by law, do that every 5 years. So we know at least every 5 years we're going to have that kind of traffic. And I've been there for 15 years, and I've seen repeated vehicles come in and work on the power lines. They trim our trees back from the power lines and stuff like that with these big bucket trucks. So, you know, whatever is built is going to have to handle the weight of these vehicles, and even though it's not going to be something that we're going to encourage. I just wanted to make that point. All right.
Okay, thank you. We'll look into that and make sure that it's designed properly to handle that kind of. We know we'll have periodic, four-wheelers with the police and all that, but that's an excessive amount that's going on right now. Thank you. Anybody else on that side again? Anybody on this side? Anybody in? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I live at my name is David Pacheco, and I live at 522 Canal Way. I'm a volunteer of the Historical Society here, and I'm an alumnus of the Citizens Academy here in Oldsmar, and that's only because I really love this city. They say when you retire, you begin your golden years. And when you begin your golden years, I don't feel I want to stand up here and ask anybody anything. I want to just enjoy my life. In my home, I have a beautiful view of the canal, and I enjoy it very much. But I will hope that you will take into consideration that 15 feet, I'm going to have a sidewalk right up to my fence. I hope you will take that into consideration, the 15-foot width of this path that you're trying to put in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room like to address the council? Yes. On this issue or any other issue that's not on the agenda?
Mayor and the rest of you, my name is Ken Robinson. I live in Gull Air at 375 Dolphin Drive North. And I differ in the statement as far as the width of the trail. I have ridden a lot of trails in
Pinellas?
no,
Oh.
next door here, Hillsborough County, yes. And I've seen many accidents. There are a lot of people running with strollers. There are people with bicycles passing. And if you only have an 8-foot trail, I think possibly the reason it's 15 is for a safety factor. And I have talked to the people from Hillsborough County that drove the fire truck to the accidents on the trails where even 15-foot wide bicycles are hitting skaters or rollerbladers. And I know from my own experience, it's been close calls more than once. So when you got a 15-foot trail, I would think that that is a safety issue to have 7 feet going each direction. And I'm certain there's a reason for engineers to come up with 15 feet. Thank you.
Safety obviously is a big concern of us, for sure. Anybody else in the room like, yes, sir?
My name is Bob Little. I do not live in Canal Way. I'm on the board of directors, and I've had obviously many phone calls, many concerns, and so on. I should know the answer to the following question, but I don't. How set in stone is the deal the way it is now?
Once we finish, I got a question for our city attorney, so.
Excuse me?
I said when we're all done here, I'll ask our city attorney and get us an answer for
All right, thank you. I think that's a concern of a lot of people. With all these things, can it be changed?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room on any subject not on the agenda tonight? Seeing no one, I'll close the citizens open forum. I'll tell you that we have been taking some notes up here, and I have one question, and it's to answer your question that you have asked is, actually, and I just wanted to make this, and we have this timeline available that you can get it from the city clerk's office, either Kathy or Ann. I had requested a timeline to know, when the projects actually started, which was 1994, but the actual design, of all the phases of the project, including cross sections and widths, was completed in 2010, 2011, 3 or 4 years ago. And we worked on them on phases as we got funding from the DOT. And to his question, which I was going to ask anyway, is we have advertised the contract, we have accepted bids, we have awarded bids, and we have let the contract. And they are probably starting silt barriers very soon. Are we able to get out of this contract or change it the way it is without legal action?
Yeah, first of all, once the contract is awarded, there has to be a specific reason why we'd get out of the contract. We would either have to default under the terms of the contract, or the contractor would have to default. At this point, none of that has happened. And so unless there's an actual termination clause in the contract, which I doubt, because construction contracts aren't built that way, that once the contractor is involved, there is basically set up and movement of all the equipment and the purchase of the supplies and so forth before it all gets going. So there would be, more than likely, we'd still be obligated to pay whether or not the job was completed. But I think that the chances of us being able to back out of the contract are probably slim. And so there would be significant exposure to the city.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. We have, like I said, we have taken some notes. So we'll see if we can look at those, talk to Lynn about the excessive vehicle traffic, make sure that we're designed and accommodating for that, and then go on from there. But it sounds like we're financially locked into this contract, which is a taxpayer issue. We have closed the citizens open forum. Go ahead.
I have a couple questions. I would like Lynn, you can't do it tonight, but I know what Jim said about the East Lake Oaks Trail. I would like to see that, whether that you could not put one, you could put it. Here's why I bring this up. In front of my house, I got a 10-foot wide concrete part of the trail. My old house, when I live behind it now, but about, I don't know, eight or 9 months ago, we got a 10-foot. You got a 10-foot wide in front of your house. Mm-hmm. So kind of inform us later on, give us a memo of why a 10-foot sidewalk was not put out there, please. Now, I want to, Ann, did you research to see in the past 4 or 5 years, were they noticed in Gullier about this? I asked you about it, and you said you're going to. I also said, at your time, when you get done to it, have you had time to?
Yeah, I looked back, but the record retention for those public information notices are 90 days, so we don't have the record of that.
They were not noticed?
I don't have the record of that to show when the meetings would have been.
I keep records like that.
Okay. All right, we'll move on.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So Tom, I understand that we can't get out of the existing contract, but since that company's done business with the city before, is it possible to amend it?
The answer,
how difficult is that?
Yeah, the answer is it would have to be negotiated. And then we run into the question of bid protests. If we're under the understanding, once we've awarded the bid, now we're changing the specifications. Now we may have bid protests where others may step in and say, well, if I would have known that, I would have bid it differently, and it would have been, maybe I would have been able to get the actual award. So I wouldn't suggest you go down that path where you're amending the specs and amending the contract since it was just awarded less than 30 days ago. I think that you're just going to cause yourself more, more liability, more legal issues down the road. If it's not from Ajax, whether they're going to change or not change the contract, all the other ones that have actually bid on it. And I don't know how many there are. Was not in the, I didn't review any of those bid proposals, but maybe Mr. Reeves, when he'd have the opportunity to answer this other question that the council member has asked, he could respond to that too, but it would definitely open the door for other lawsuits.
Because my question, another question is why is it 15 instead of 10 when those of us that have it in front of our house is either, mine's 10.
Well, there was
So
right away too.
So I'm just curious, is it to accommodate these big vehicles that have to go down there?
that's
Or is
not
it because there's that much room and they can make 15? What, is there a reason why it's 15?
Each phase, we have 5 phases. Each phase was arbitrarily picked by the city how wide the trail is going to be.
Okay.
But that was done in 2010.
2010 and
I mean, it's not,
2011.
yeah, it's been around, and a lot of it's right away. I think as the gentleman, I forget which one addressed, I was part of the trail design for the one that runs through the line ball landfill, and a lot of that was concern about, 2 families passing. I mean, you are right next to the canal. Safety is definitely a concern. You don't want it to be too tight along there. And, you want 2 families on 2 bikes to be able to pass, equally and not bang into each other or wreck. So, I mean, I got to think that, and right away. It's not, I forget, you told me it's 46%. I think it's 46%. There's 30 some odd feet of right of way out there and between there.
The other thing too is if we could have Lynn address for them or in the future why asphalt's used in certain areas versus concrete, since I think a few residents have concern about that. I mean, obviously cost is a big factor.
Oh, it would dramatically change the cost, so, okay.
Could I go out of order with one comment, if you wouldn't mind?
I'll allow this, and that's all, but we're not turning, I've already closed the citizens open forum.
I understand. Okay.
Can't do it for
Can you come to the podium? Can you come to the podium, please?
Right before this contract was signed, Lynn was at our clubhouse that Saturday, and I believe it was the Tuesday that they were going to sign this contract. And I bet you half the people in this room was at that meeting. And if he didn't come back to you and address these concerns that are here tonight, then he probably should have. I mean, that was before, I do believe that was before it was signed on the Tuesday morning, was it not? I think that's what you told us. Well,
Just giving them a notice to proceed.
you're giving them a notice to proceed. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. Our next item is our Community Redevelopment Agency. The first item is authorize the city manager to advertise for proposal for qualified development firms interested in entering into a public-private partnership with the city for the development of Market Square. Are you going to address that, or Marie? Would Marie like to address that?
Well, how about if I bring it up and if you have questions, Marie?
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, Marie, give you a break for a minute. The first item is to request City Council authorization to advertise for bids from qualified development firms interested in entering into public-private partnership with the city for development of Market Square. The City of Oldsmar is seeking a public or private development partner to engage in this economic development initiative of city-owned property. Private firm or team must demonstrate the ability to assemble a team consisting of development specialists with experience and expertise in construction design, marketing, and financing mixed-use projects, as well as legal structures needed to complete the project, and the city manager recommends authorizing the.
Beautiful. Does anybody have any questions? I do know that one of the things that really hurt us on the last one that we did was the response time, and we have extended that, and we've kind of, I don't want to say given them an open slate, but we've given them a little more flexibility with the design ability and idea ability. We still hope it's kind of a mixed use thing, but we have kind of given a little bit more freedom. We also feel that we have a couple of viable candidates, given the economy and the way it's turned around, that we feel like we will probably get some more bids. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Just happy to see it back on the docket.
All in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Do you want to read the next one?
Item number 2, approve Community Development Block Grant Agreement with Pinellas County for street resurfacing in the CRA St. Petersburg Drive. City Council authorization is requested to approve the Community Development Block Grant Program, specific performance agreement between Pinellas County and the City of Oldsmar. The city will receive $87,500 from this grant, which will be used for street resurfacing improvements along St. Petersburg Drive from Bayview Boulevard to Dartmouth Avenue. All work completed as part of this project is subject to Davis-Bacon Act prevailing wage provisions. The city attorney has reviewed this agreement, and the city manager recommends approval.
I need a motion
So
and a second.
second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? This is another great piece for the CRA.
I had a question.
Uh-huh.
Lisa, how soon would the resurfacing happen, and does it include any sidewalk repair or things that, we did in front of the library? Is it strictly just the street? Because that area is much needed.
Lisa Ray, Director of Public Works. This grant strictly covers the resurfacing of the street, and we are going to be doing in-house, using in-house staff, some minor repairs of the sidewalks, some of the ADA, bringing some of the cross ramps up to ADA compliance in the area as well. In our CIP program, a little farther out, there is the whole streetscape project for that area, which will extend a lot of the landscaping that was done in front of the library farther down St. Pete Drive.
When's the plan for the resurfacing? Do you know?
It'll be happening this summer.
Great.
It has to all be complete, all paperwork done, all bills paid, and everything to Pinellas County by November 30th.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is the consent docket. It's rather long one. We have several items. Approve the minutes of the March 18th, 2014 City Council meeting. Approve payment to legal counsel. Authorize the city manager to contract for annual street resurfacing on Hillsborough County contract. Authorize the city manager to contract for annual sidewalk and curb repair on the City of Clearwater contract. Number 7, authorize the city manager to advertise a request for qualifications for the purpose of selecting qualified firms interested in providing general engineering services for utilities. Number 8, authorize the city manager to advertise a request for qualifications for the purpose of selecting qualified firms interested in providing general engineering services for transportation and stormwater. Does anybody wish to pull anything? If not, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Got it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is the City of Oldsmar, and the first item is the presentation of proclamation for EMS Week, and I'll go ahead and read that. Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, first responders, educators, administrators, and others, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. Now, therefore, I, Doug Beavis, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th to 24th, 2014 as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme EMS, Dedicated for Life. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities dated the 20th day of May 2014. Doug Beavis, Mayor. Aaron, am I giving this to you? Let you tell us a little about Emergency Week.
Okay. EMS Week was founded about 4 decades ago. We've been doing this for 4 decades. And it's basically to honor the paramedics and EMTs and doctors and nurses that work in emergency rooms and work in the medical field. We dedicate our lives, and that's what the slogan is this time, to helping people, keeping them safe. And this is our week to be honored for that service that we provide. And we appreciate everything that they do, and appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
Got a good side. That's it. And we certainly are very proud of our firefighters in the city of Oldsmar and would put them up against any other fire department in the city or state. So I know we all agree on that. Our next item is the presentation of the Employee Service Award, and our Citizen of the Year is going to do that.
This is the fun part. Oliver, can you come up, please? Bless you. Oh, don't be shy. Well, you gotta come over here so we can get you on camera and everybody on TV can see you. Don't be nervous. Yeah, that's always good. I think we're, yeah. All right, so Deb Oliver has worked for the city of Oldsmar for how many years?
10.
It's like a decade. That's a long time. And who did you bring with you?
My husband, Stan.
Hi.
Well, Deb, you know, we honor employees who stay with us for a while, and you are a special. I love Deb. I work with her all the time. She helps me out so much. Where do you work? Which department?
Utility billing.
I knew that. We've bonded. Yeah. And what do you do there?
Customer service.
Do you know how hard it is to talk to people who've had their water turned off, who've had a water leak, and there they are out on the front lines, and there's Deb. Look, she survived 10 years and smiling. Now, let's give her a hand. Hey. Well, Deb, we appreciate your service. The Service Award in recognition for 10 years of service to the City of Oldsmar, presented to Deb Oliver, 2004 to 2014, so we can count too. And a check, I think.
Thank you.
And would you like to say anything?
No, I just hope that I can put in some more years and have as good a time as I have in the past.
Well, we hope so too.
Awards, by the way.
Awesome.
About the 10 years.
Wow.
Did not miss a day.
That's not a check, that's a water bill.
Thank you, Deb.
I'm not sure how we're pulling this next item off, since we had to go to the bullpen tonight. The next item, which is a great item, no, everybody didn't call everybody and decide to wear blue shirts tonight. It's the Citizens Academy graduation ceremony, and I guess I'm coming down there.
Bruce told me somebody couldn't make it. Richard T? Somebody couldn't make it. Probably should have said so. He's just talking random.
Would you like to explain what this is?
Yeah, I guess I can. This is, it's actually the Janice Miller Citizens Academy. And before Janice passed, and even before we really knew how sick she was, I thought that because of the effort that she had put into this and to get this started, and obviously with the assistance of the city clerk and the deputy city clerk, it has really flourished into a great program. I was in year 2, I think, and I get jealous every year because the new Citizens Academy group gets to do more and more stuff. But those that don't know, it's 9 weeks, right? And each Thursday, you get to go to a different department in the city or a different area of the city. You might learn about the city clerk's office and the city attorney, or you might go to the lovely smelling wastewater treatment plant and learn about that. You might go to the reverse osmosis plant and learn how that operates. You might go to the fire station and learn how to spray a hose and how important it is to the fire department. So it's really interesting, and we encourage our citizens that haven't taken it to do it. We'll be doing it again, and those that have taken it, we encourage you to tell others about it and how great it is. It really is neat, and even being on city council and going through the Citizens Academy, you learn so much about the city that you don't really know about. You find out where our tax dollars go and why we do the things that we do and how terrific our departments are. And I said this when I've come to speak when I did the opening. night out there, that our employees don't think this is a burden to them. They don't mind that they're staying late. They actually compete with each other to make sure that they have the best Thursday night of all. Would everybody agree with that, that they did a great job? How about a big round of applause for our city employees and everything like that? But it really is great, and thanks to Dan Saraki for stepping forward and getting us all the food, because we fed everybody every Thursday night, and that's a big feat, and we do thank him for that. And with that, I guess we'd like to go ahead and hand out the awards.
So as I call your name, if you could come up, and the mayor will hand you your award, and then stay up here because we get a group picture, a class picture. Esteban Baza. Semper Fi. Jeanette Burbeau, Joan Berger, Barbara Calapetro, Karen Philippon, Scott Nixon, Terry Nunes, Tom Price, David Richardson, Phyllis Richardson, Deborah Riley, Gina Rogers, Susan Smerzinski, Hank Snow, and Ann Teets. Hey, Tom. How are you? How you doing?
Thank you.
One of the things that's really special about this class is that we actually have 2 city employees. We might have to squinch together more.
Squinch.
Go more this way. Squinch in rows, or yeah, take a knee.
Yeah, people can squat down in front. Yeah. I'm still not getting everybody.
That's fine.
What about the hall?
You guys gotta move in a little closer.
You spent 9 weeks together. Get close.
Oh, gosh.
Sounds like it.
It looks like it too.
And yeah, let's give him a round of applause. Often we also offer our students to say a comment or two, and I think Deb Riley wanted to say something, or I just put her on the spot.
Okay, I'll go without the microphone. I have a big mouth. You will not miss what I have to say. But as being a fairly new employee to the city and coming from the private sector, I found that Citizens Academy gave me a greater understanding of Oldsmar's infrastructure. I learned who the leaders were, and it's always important to know who's in management. And I want to say special thanks to everyone who gave their time, especially Anne, Kathy, and Deb Polly. Thanks.
Would anybody else like to say anything?
Okay. Oh, of course, I don't need that.
Before you throw your hats in the air.
This was my first year.
And he needs to have the microphones.
Nope.
This way, pick it up on the board.
This was my first year, and I was invited to do this. And I think anybody that's citizens of Oldsmar should do this. This was unbelievable. It was the most informative. And as a young kid, the one that I missed because I was traveling for business was the fire department, and I was like so disappointed because it's like it's the one I was like, oh, I want that. But to learn the city government and Bruce, who's not here tonight, just to learn how the inner workings are was unbelievable. Anybody that hasn't done it, it's well worth it. Just do it if you can.
Where do we get the information?
I think we should have homework.
Hey now. Take your shirt off. No.
Too soon, Tom. Actually. Put me right on the spot.
Her husband's not in here.
All right. No, we should all tell one person about this program and make them know about it and at least have them join,
Be their sponsor and get them.
sponsor, and at least tell them about it. And yeah, that should be our homework. That's all I wanted to say. Because I learned a lot from each of the departments.
Oh, my God.
You can keep your shirt.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, everybody. How about another round of applause?
We used to do that at the old chambers. Remember the old chambers? What a miserable building that was compared to this. Huh?
We'll take a quick pause if anybody wants to go ahead and leave, and then we're moving on to the exciting stuff. Our city attorney. You probably want to stay. It really gets good.
There wasn't enough room for everybody.
Congratulations, and definitely see our city clerk's office if you want to inquire about it when, and it really is a lot of fun. Our next item is our city attorney.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, item number 12 on your agenda is consider the site plan application for 3784 Tampa Road. This is a retail building. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. And so anyone that is going to speak on this particular agenda item, if they could stand up, raise their right hand, you're going to be sworn under oath. You swear that the testimony you're going to give in this proceeding is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. And now staff would make a presentation. Ms. Dauphin?
Daphne, Planning and Redevelopment Director. Or PowerPoint, obviously, so. Okay, this is a request for site plan and a variance approval for 3784 Tampa Road. You can see it's located south of Tampa Road. It's west of the Thornton's, well, soon to be Thornton's gas station convenience store, and to the east is Famous Tate. The existing conditions, it's 1.27 acres. The zoning is C2 general commercial with land use designation of commercial general. Currently, there's a 3,750 square foot office building, parking lot. There's very little landscaping, and the architecture is outdated. This is a picture of the existing building facing Tampa Road, and this is the east side of the building, the rear of the building fronting on Scarlet Boulevard, and located to the east is Famous Tate. We've been over this timeline before as far as the Tampa Road corridor, and this is because this property fronts on Tampa Road, it's required to comply with the regulations of the Tampa Road corridor adopted by the City Council. The request is to construct a 10,500 square foot shopping center. The applicant is proposing to construct 53 parking spaces. The requirement is 4 per thousand, and only 42 are required, so he's providing 11 in excess of the requirement. He's enhancing the landscaping. And the applicant is also requesting a variance to increase the maximum front yard setback from 35 feet to 86.26 feet. There's access, current access is from Tampa Road, and the applicant proposes to construct an additional access off of Scarlet Boulevard located to the south. The applicant has also prepared the site for cross-access to the Famous Tate property, so you can see that it's indicated there with the arrows. Landscaping has been provided along Tampa Road. It's going to be tiered. There will be crepe myrtles with tiered undergrowth of viburnum and jasmine. And on the Scarlet Boulevard right-of-way, bald cypress, live oaks, and viburnum. The request is for a variance for the setback from 35 feet, the maximum of 35 feet, to increase it to 86.26 feet. The existing building will be demolished, and this is really the first project under the Tampa Road Corridor Plan, so once the building's demolished, it's like a clean, vacant piece of property, so there's really no site constraints. Staff believes that this will set a precedent if the variance is approved as requested. There isn't a hardship because the property is vacant. Currently, the existing building is set back 37.50 feet, so it could be done. I'm going to skip over that one. This shows the proposed setback at 82.26 feet. This is modified a little bit. It's kind of on an angle, so that's at the shortest distance. It goes up to 86.26 feet. And staff is requesting that the building be pushed forward so that the setback is actually 64 feet. That would still be require approval of a variance because the maximum setback is 35 feet. So staff reviewed the variance against the conditions outlined in section 3.17.3 of the Land Development Code. And based on that review, staff is recommending a compromise. We're requesting that one row of parking be eliminated. And that would be in keeping with the general intent and vision of the plan. And finally, with regard to the architecture, you can see it's designed to appear two-story. There's rock veneers and stucco, complementary colors, awnings, tile inserts, and color bands. So this meets the Tampa Road Corridor regulations. So staff recommends approval of the site plan contingent on the following condition: revise the site plan to remove one row of parking spaces between the building and Tampa Road and bring the building forward 22 feet, resulting in a 64-foot front setback for Tampa Road. And I'd like to enter the staff report into the record and answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Yes, Mr. Beaver.
What was that 3 point? Your reason for
3.17.3 of the Land Development Code.
Whoa.
You listen slow.
Oh, real slow. And tell me that again.
3.17.3.
3.17.
Point 3. The Land Development Code.
All right. That's all I want to know right now.
My question is, it would seem to me that the building being further away from Tampa Road would be more beneficial than bringing it closer to Tampa Road. And I don't understand the logic to that.
Because that's part of the Tampa Road Corridor regulations. The City Council adopted the regulations to push the buildings forward. It's all part of that smart growth, complete streets program, part of the MPO's bicycle and pedestrian plan that was, passed. And the Pinellas County is going to be bringing forward a comprehensive plan showing how they want to make it more pedestrian friendly, have like a wall or a building wall to kind of protect the pedestrians as they walk along the Tampa Road Corridor or any kind of.
That's the reason why I asked for this. We're going to talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right now.
But actually, too, when you look at it, the Thornton's, site plan shows that the buildings are going to be set back, and Famous Tate is set back also. So this is going to give them an advantage because they're going to be, pushed forward. So when you're driving down Tampa Road, you're going to be able to see the building a lot easier than you would be Famous Tate that has the seat of parking in the front or Thornton's.
Gabby?
I had a couple questions. I agree. I don't like the sea of parking that you see in Famous Tate, and I think that's one of the reasons why it was adopted. But two questions. If they push the building forward, how would they have the cross access? Where was that on the map? Wouldn't that cut out there?
There was two potential sites that they prepared. Let's see. So there's one in the north and one in the south.
Would have two.
Mm-hmm.
Or potentially one. In
Potentially.
the back.
They've prepared the sites that they can provide that.
So you potentially could lose one of the cross access. And then the second is if, I'm just from a convenience perspective, because this looks pretty much like Flamestone and City Fish, where it's 2 rows of parking. If there's only 1 row of parking and someone pulls in and they have to go all the way to the back of the building, wouldn't they have to have rear entrances, or people would have to walk all the way to the front of the building if there wasn't enough parking? I think that's a concern.
Well, he has provided interior sidewalk, paths, so there's a safe walking area for any pedestrians. Okay. And then he does have access also from Scarlet.
Okay, that's all I had.
Linda?
Okay, that's it. Could you explain that again? So
The
there's
interior
access,
paths?
right, there's interior paths in the buildings, I don't see that on the
No,
picture.
interior sidewalks that would provide, safe access to the building from the parking areas.
Okay, kind of like at, in West Chase, where they have the.
Yeah, it's crosswalked or, it's designated.
Just hard to see in the photograph.
Did you get a set of plans?
You said inside. You're not meaning that they're walking through the building. You mean internal to the
From the parking lot
to the
to the
site plan on the
building.
side.
Yeah, on the side.
Not through the building. But,
Okay, so they would still have to walk around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anything else, Linda? I have a couple. And, so the request, the code says 35. We are, in essence, granting a 64, but we're just not granting the additional 22 to the 82.6. I guess my question is, you said that they have exceeded the parking ratios for this particular land use, or this particular use, which is what?
4 per thousand, so 42 parking spaces are required. And the site plan shows 53.
Okay, so 4 per thousand, and only because I know that this was an issue before I was on council, and we know it's an issue at Bay Arbor. If this at some point the owner or occupant went away and it became a mixed use of retail and restaurant, would the 4 to 1 accommodate that or no?
It depends how much of that 10,500.
They made the whole thing a restaurant.
It wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work, but that's not how it's been proposed.
No, I understand, but
You're thinking future.
And then
I'm thinking of future, and the only reason I say that is you kind of look to the future. Rooms to go is huge at over parking. They actually have to justify
that's
why they do that.
the cross access to the famous state property, potentially he could have some kind of agreement. And that could,
That's also their stormwater pond over
That's
there,
what
isn't it?
happened to Jersey Jim's, and he got turned down for that mattress place because it didn't fit.
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Jim, Jersey Mike. There used to be a Jersey Jim. All right, Jersey Mike. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. And I guess the question is, how would it set a precedent? And the only reason I'd ask this is, I live at Bay Arbor. I think the way that front looks is great, and it's double loaded. I think City Fish looks great, it's double loaded. I think Flamestone looks great, it's double loaded. And it also, from, I guess, a user perspective, you do tend to fill up the fronts first, which also indicates that they're doing well and it's open and you're, successful. If 2/3 of your parking lot is behind the building and everybody back there, they may think, well, I'm not, we're visual people. We like to see, parking. That's just a thing with me when I drive by someplace. It's
But
like,
driving by, this is what the whole Tampa Road corridor is. We're going to try to recreate the corridor so it's pedestrian, bicycles, et cetera. When I was telling Councilman Gee that when I came over here today, there was, I think, 4 people walking along Tampa Road at different areas, and then there was a bicyclist. So people are starting to do other things besides drive from place to place.
and that's great, yeah.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I was going to wait till a little later, but I thought we was going to listen to the applicant before we got into this kind of discussion.
Just questions, right?
This is just questions, and it's
Okay.
specifically to her.
Okay.
Do you have any? No?
Well, I have a comment.
We can bring
But
her
I'll
back
wait
up.
for that. I'll
We
wait
can-
for my
we can-
comment.
All right.
See, but you're asking questions for her, but you're telling her that you like the way it is. That's not a question.
You're correct. Any other questions? Well, my question was about the single and precedent setting was really what my question was about.
Well, that was constructed before the corridor plan and regulations were adopted by the council. And so Bay Arbor, the developer, took that upon himself to propose that, and it's a great design.
What about Jersey Mike's? Was that before the corridor?
When that came before us, that was only supposed to be retail, no restaurant use was ever proposed.
But the double loaded parking design.
That was way before the Tampa Road corridor. So this is the first plan that's come before the council that is under the new regulations.
Okay.
That's completely vacant, once they adopt it.
Any other questions of Marie?
No.
Okay.
Thank you,
Next.
Marie.
Now it's time for the applicant to make a presentation.
Thank you, Marie.
Hello, Mayor, Council. I'm Randy Mears. I'm president of Ramar Development, located at 12645 Racetrack Road, Tampa, Florida. I represent the owner on this site. I appreciate staff's recommending approval of the submitted landscape and architectural elevation plans, which brings us to the site plan. The point of discussion is the location of the parking spaces. First, let me say that I understand and appreciate the Tampa Road Corridor Vision Plan's concept and spirit. I also feel that this proposed submitted site plan excuse me, meets the spirit of the vision plan by locating more than half of the parking spaces behind the building, thus eliminating that sea of parking lot on Tampa Road, which I think is the main reason that they didn't want a lot of parking in front of the building. And with the combined with the enhanced landscaping of the proposed submitted landscape plan, which staff has already approved, we have cleverly and smartly camouflaged that double row of parking, such as some of the projects that the mayor just mentioned. I offer the following reasons why the double row of parking in Tampa Road is needed, but first I want to correct something Marie said. There are no interior sidewalks on that site. So if you're going to park in back, or you're going to have all the parking in back, they're going to either walk through the swale, which is required by code, or they're going to walk on the driveway, which is required by code. Okay?
Thank you.
There are constraints of the site once you consider code and regulation requirements, which I will have Mike Palmer, who is our civil engineer, come up and briefly explain to you why no parking up front and one row parking up front really doesn't work if we're going to make this a successful project. Mike?
Okay, hang on a second, Mr. Mears. Any questions of Mr. Mears
before we switch off?
I will be back after Mike to finish my presentation.
Okay, any questions?
I just had a quick question on the site plan. It looks like that there's a sidewalk along the right side. Is that a sidewalk?
Along which side, ma'am?
If you're looking at that screen on the right-hand side, is that a sidewalk on that right side of the building?
Way over on the right side? No.
Okay.
That is a swale that's needed per code to get the water from the front of the building back to the retention pond.
One question, Randy. So everybody understands this. There is a sidewalk in the front.
There's a sidewalk in front of the building. There's a sidewalk in the front of the building. There's already a sidewalk on Tampa Road. There will be a sidewalk in the front of the building, and there will be a sidewalk on Scarlet Boulevard.
Right.
Is the user occupying the whole property?
No. He will be using a small percentage of it, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, and then he will lease out the others in, I've forgotten, 1,500, 2,000 square foot retail units, or possibly deli or something like that, which comes to your point.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Palmer, engineer of record, 3000 Gulf to Bay.
The site plan is for proposed retail and office building.
Okay.
We do appreciate the staff's recommendation about the single row of parking in the front. However, we did look at this many different angles, and what happens when you shift the building 20 feet forward, we have to replace the parking in the rear plus a drive aisle. And if you see that big open area in the back, that's a stormwater retention area, it completely goes away. So basically we lose all of the stormwater storage volume. And DOT has a 50-foot throat depth requirement for the entrance. We're gonna lose 20 feet in throat depth, and I doubt very much they're gonna allow that. So looking at the shifting of the parking forward, or the site plan forward, it just doesn't seem to work very well.
Yep. Any questions? I mean, I have a question, and this gets back to the question that I asked Marie about the 11 over. You could get away with not having 3 drive aisles, basically, but you would lose the 11 parking spaces.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you lose those 11 parking spaces.
Any other questions? Nobody's asked? No?
Yeah, why did you put 11 additional?
It's always better to have more than less. If you drive around, especially Park Avenue Plaza, the parking spaces that meet code, and of course it was a less back then. Sometimes once you get the mix in there, it's always better to have more than less. And for the type of businesses that you're wanting my client to hopefully attract, which is maybe a doctor's office, maybe an attorney, maybe a little delicatessen, those require more parking than a office space or a retail space.
Anything else of either of those?
And if we lose the if we lose the one row of parking in front, the number of parking spaces that we could put on there, even moving the building up 20 feet, then we will not meet code required parking space number.
Because then you need a drive aisle.
Well, we can't put a drive aisle in. We have to put the retention pond in.
Right.
So, unless you can have surf mud and the city engineering department tell me I have to put the retention pond in. So the site does have some constraints once we consider all the rules and regulations that we have to abide by, not only by the city of Oldsmar, but SwiftMud, FDOT, and all that. So we kind of disagree a little bit with Maria that there are no site constraints. There really are. And to make this site as economically feasible as possible, this is what the best that we can come up with. But I'd like to continue my presentation, and then you can ask me questions, okay? If the city doesn't allow parking at Tampa Road and demands all the parking behind the building, the city will, in practical terms, designate the Tampa Road elevation as the rear of the building, thus negating MPOs and the city's desire to orient buildings in Tampa Road towards Tampa Road for customer use. The double row of parking at the front of the building also would achieve MPOs and the city's desire to have consistent and mutually compatible development on Tampa Road, because all of the existing properties and approved proposed properties have a double row of parking at Tampa Road, up to and including the approval of the site plan for Thornton's, which is located immediately to the west of this site. Last, and this is very important because it's just very important. The city tried the concept of no parking at Tampa Road, meaning no parking in front of buildings, once before. I would tell you that it was a complete and dismal failure. I know that because I was the victim of that project also. The city made me locate my MPD building, which was commonly known as the Winter's Grill building back then, in the Oldsmar Town Center. I think it's Blue Tavern that's there now. They made me put that close to Tampa Road with no parking in front of the building. And if the succeeding projects that had been built, I was the first one in then also, I was the first one on Tampa Road. And had the city kept putting the building close to Tampa Road, no parking in front, then that would have created not only a canyon effect, meaning that all the buildings were so close to the road that there's not enough green space, there's not enough parking, not enough landscaping, but also it would give a back alley effect that would not have promoted or attracted the very few pedestrians or customers that use Tampa Road sidewalks. I guess I also want to say that I'm not real sure the Tampa Road corridor, it isn't at the moment, and I'm not sure it's ever going to become a really pedestrian-friendly road. In fact, no other project from 2001 to this project had to meet the concept of no parking on Tampa Road in front of buildings, and all were permitted to construct the double row of parking on Tampa Road.
Just for clarity, you're saying no parking in front, but we are authorizing, in this particular case, a row of parking. So they're not asking for no parking in front, correct? Okay,
all right. But I'm telling you what happened in history, so hopefully we can have history as a learning lesson.
Gotcha. Just clarity.
I also find it curious that I'm the only developer over a 13-year span that has not been allowed to put a double row of parking in front of my buildings. I find that very curious. After the MPD disaster, all of the projects from 2001 to now were allowed a double row of parking at Tampa Road because the city staff and the city council members realized that was the smartest, highest, and best use and most economically pleasing design for those properties on Tampa Road. As I think one of the commissioners mentioned, you know, for convenience for the customers to have a double row parking in front of the restaurants and retail space is just really smart planning. This project is no different. The one row parking, as you can see, does not work on this project because then we will not meet code required parking spaces.
Can I ask you, just for clarity on that? Maria said that you're 11 spaces over. The front spots that are the closest to Tampa Road, that is 11 spaces. It appears that even if you took those out, it would still meet, it doesn't accomplish your needs, but it would still meet code. Is that correct, or is that not what you're saying?
Would be one short.
Because she's saying 11, and unless I went to school in Ohio, so maybe my math is bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a spot right there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay.
Would be one short.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
So I am asking you to please not make the same mistake that was made 13 years ago and not allow double row parking in front of these buildings on Tampa Road. To this day, I think the MPD building, if you're all familiar with it.
Can you just clarify for the record where that is? I know where it is, but just.
It's in the Oldsmar Town Center. It's right next to the Wells Fargo Bank.
And in front of Holiday Inn Express at St. Pete Drive and Tampa Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
And although Marie thinks that the closer you put the roads to the building, the more exposure it has and the better it is, I will tell you that with the MPD building so close to the road, as you're driving up to it or by it, you really don't notice the signage on it. You don't know what's there. It just seems to crowd it. I have one last thing to say. Locating the building so close to Tampa Road may create an unsafe and unworkable situation for emergency vehicles and incidents, meaning fire, police, and medical emergencies. Again, this was proven to be true with my MPD project. Once the city forced me to locate the building next to Tampa Road, the fire chief at the time came to me and asked if I would redesign my driveway off of Tampa Road. He asked that I move the pole sign to the east, eliminate the median, and widen the drive, which I agreed to do because he told me at that time, with that building so close to the road, his fire trucks could not make the turn from Tampa Road into that project. And his words to me were, his trucks and ambulances can run over hedges, they can run over parking lots, they can run over curbs, they can't run over buildings. So in conclusion, I ask you approve the proposed submitted site plan as submitted with no contingencies. In other words, the 2 rows of parking as submitted. And I'm ready for questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Question 1, do you think the council member on this seat is happy that you finally brought in some plans with an architectural design that I like?
Wait a minute. Let me sit down. Okay, we may need that emergency site now.
Question
You like
2.
this building design? Wow.
First time he's ever brought one in I liked. Now, question number 2.
Yep.
Since your first project you were talking about, have you been happy with my votes that we haven't put another building like that in the city of Oldsmar on Tampa
Yes,
Road?
and I will give you credit that after the fact, after that happened, you did come to me and say, you know what, probably shouldn't have done that. I give you credit for that.
Questions?
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
Tim?
I would just for the record, can you tell everybody what the buffer is again before the parking from Tampa Road where all the landscape will be? How big an
15
area
feet.
is that?
15 feet. It is tiered landscaping so that it does camouflage the parking. Yes,
Is
sir.
that, to tail on that, is that a similar buffer that we have at Bay Arbor? Are they similar?
That's the requirement of the code.
But is in distance-wise, is that, what, about 15, or is Bay Arbor maybe a little bit more than that, or even Buffalo Wild Wings, or?
It's probably more than Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, that's,
I'm just trying to visually get
Like it's more.
And I have a question, and this is actually a Jerry Beaverland question because he didn't ask it.
Mayor, please.
And I got to
Mayor.
tell you that there's a lot of components of the corridor study and plan, but I think one of the things that has really successfully worked for us and brought the businesses here and the hotels is the architectural component of it. And the Jerry Beaverland question is, this looks great, is this what we're getting?
Yes, sir.
Not going to change.
They're the owners right there. They've spent.
And I like it.
I don't think I can tell you how much more they spent to make it like that because they wanted it to be nice and to be really pop.
I think it looks great.
Well,
So
further to
questions.
to press your point is, they already know that this is what they presented. I've always told them.
I know.
You change it, you got a problem.
Believe me, if I didn't build that,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mr. Beaverland would be at my door.
Questions only, and any other of the applicant's team? I do have one quick question. I know at one point, I think there was discussion, and I think it was actually part of the Thornton site plan, was access through there. I know there isn't one there, and that variance, you got that variance, but could you, if down the road, could you accommodate?
Yeah, yes, Mayor, we originally, I can't reach it, but we originally had an ingress egress at would be the northwest corner.
Right by that single parking space.
Right by that single parking space. You could just, do the ingress egress right there. And it would line, the way we're designed now is also lines up with the double row parking that was approved with Thornton, so it would be easy access back and forth.
It looked like it, I just wanted to make sure.
so I have a question along those routes. So since you're doing your project and they're doing their project and it's kind of happening at the same time, that's just an if we can do it scenario? That's not in the plans to be
No,
able to have cross?
we didn't grant the variance, we didn't do the cross access because we feel like the back street is actually the access.
Oh, the Scarlet in the back, okay.
To the point, and it's probably not so much to the point here, but the cross access really affected the throat entry of the Thorntons coming in. The cross access point was so close to Tampa Road.
Oh, okay,
But if you
okay.
had cars coming, you could have a collision right
I
there.
got you, thank you.
Their access
yes,
to
ma'am, that
Tampa Road would be where that would be, and
It
that's
could happen in the future.
Right,
We
okay.
didn't do it here.
I just wanted to check. Any other questions from council of the team? Questions only.
I'm going to ask a question on. Did I make a mistake on that one time that I did vote for that thing on Tampa Road? I just want everybody to know. Just say yes or no.
You voted for
I
that.
just want everybody to know that the council members up here do make mistakes sometimes.
No, proponents.
Proponents. Do we have any proponents that would like to speak? Any opponents that would like to speak?
Okay.
Okay.
Now staff. can
Staff,
summarize,
would you like to summarize?
Answer questions.
Staff is still recommending that the compromise to the variance request to the 66 feet. And I agree with Mr. Mears, his first building, we were just learning 13 years ago as far as setbacks, and we had it right up to the property line. But now with the Tampa Road corridor, it's a 35-foot maximum, so you're going to have 15 feet of landscaping, you're going to have a 5-foot from the edge of pavement, 10-foot wide or 15-foot wide sidewalk, and then the landscaping. So we feel that that is not the same as the original building that he built, 13 years ago. If he removed that row of parking spaces, he still could meet code. He could relocate the access off of Tampa Road, shift it over towards the Thornton's property, and he would be able to have the 42 parking spaces. So we believe that he could still do that.
Okay. Just for clarity for the record, the staff is recommending 64 feet. You said 66.
Excuse me, 64 feet.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to double check. Thank you. Questions of staff?
I guess I have a question. Are you making these conditions strictly because of this Tampa Road corridor plan?
And that it's a vacant piece of property.
Basically, you're just following the letter of the law to the plan.
No, if we did, then there would be no parking in the front, but we believe that, we want to have a compromise and have one, drive aisle and one row of parking spaces.
Okay, I have comments, but no more questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, now would be now is your turn.
Now's your opportunity, but then we'll close the public hearing.
Moving the drive to the east, you have the same frontage, same linear foot. So I don't know how you get an extra parking space in there, because you still need the landscape strips, unless you're gonna let me not have the landscape strips. And the cost to build a new ingress-egress off of Tampa Road per FDOT would be prohibitive. This project would not go forward.
They probably wouldn't even let you.
I doubt it. Yes, sir, I doubt it. And again, the Tampa Road Vision Corridor Plan allows the possibility of parking in front of the building on a per-site basis. So Marie's only half right that you can't have any parking, and that's why she's saying that I can't have parking, but then she's going to compromise and say, well, we'll give you half the parking that you want. The Tampa Road Vision Corridor Plan allows for parking in front of the building on a per-site basis. They've chosen to not.
Yeah, you're not asking for a variance or anything.
Right. Well, I'm asking for a variance to move back.
Yeah.
And again, I just once more want to emphasize, boy, go look at that MPD building. That is not what you want to create again. You truly want double row parking in front of not just this one, but anything else you do on Tampa Road.
Questions?
No.
And they're granting you a variance, but you want the variance to be bigger to 22 feet to 82.26 feet.
We're asking for a variance for the 86.26 feet.
Right.
They're saying that they would like you to grant a variance to me for the 64.
That's what I just said.
66
I said
okay.
That's what I said. They are saying you could have a variance to 64. You're asking for the additional 22 to 82.6 to put 2 rows of parking up front instead of 1.
Right.
Okay.
86.26.
I wrote down 82.26 from what somebody said.
And the reason is the testimony.
Oh,
was
because it's
closer,
skewed.
4 feet, it's
Okay.
skewed one direction.
22 and change additional feet is what you're asking for, right?
Close the form.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, go ahead and close the public forum. I need a motion to approve site plan, and we'll have the discussion.
I would make a motion to approve the site plan without the conditions from staff.
Well, that's approving the site plan, because the site plan is at 82 point
I
odd
just want to clarify that, not with the.
I'm just asking for
recommendation of staff,
approval of the site plans for discussion, and then we'll make it, yeah.
Right.
Okay. A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second discussion now.
Mayor, can I give a little history?
It wouldn't be a council meeting without
Yeah,
it.
wouldn't be at it with it. We can now.
There's no questions. This is for the owner. I want to give you the history of this place, okay?
Okay.
Y'all don't want to listen to it? Don't listen to me. That was a house in 1960. It was just a little house in 1960. It was owned by.
You didn't live there, did you?
It was owned by Kurt von Stroheim. Now, who was Kurt von Stroheim? He was one of the tag team partners of the World Championships wrestlers.
Really?
They were the champions of Japan, champions of Europe, and champions of America. The Stroheim brothers were Germans who really weren't Germans, that spoke in a broken, and they were mean, they were cranky, they would kill you in the ring. Kurt lived there with his wife and his son. His son played Little League here. When Kurt was a mountain, he was a mountain. He would come to our house, take his shoes off before he'd come in the house. The guy was an incredible, backward, so nice, so quiet, you would not believe it. He sold the house to Bolenbach. He increased the thing. Now y'all gonna tear a piece of history down in this city.
And this will be in his next book.
But it's in my book.
Stroheim Brothers of Oldsmar.
So what I want is I want
Just
a
a
plaque
shameless
up there
plug for your
to Kurt
book.
von Stroheim, a world champion, tag team champions. That's the history, man.
Okay, that's the history. How about
Well, maybe
discussion?
Greg and Renee can put a little plaque on the building.
Well, I seconded, or one of us seconded the thing. I think it's a great project, and I'm all for
Any
it.
discussion about it and thoughts on why and why not, just for the record?
I just said why.
Okay.
I think it's a great project. I think just for the fact that he finally brought in a design that we all like.
Kudos to you. Linda?
I appreciate the Tampa Road Corridor vision, but in this instance, what concerns me the most with having just one row of parking in the front is without having interior corridors within the building like in West Chase. West Chase, you can park behind the buildings, but there's several ways you can get to the stores. So when you look at the rear, that's what you're going to be parking in front of, and then you have to walk all the way around as a consumer and as a single person. I don't know if I would want at night to do that. So that's what concerns me the most about this. I do agree with the vision pedestrian friendly, but it is going to be right next door to Thornton's, which isn't going to have, it's going to have the double row. So I understand the precedent and everything, but in this instance, I don't see how many people are going to park behind this place to walk all the way around it to get to the stores. I wouldn't want to put a business if I couldn't get to it easily. So that's what concerns me the most if we did grant the variance. And I love the colors. I'm a painting contractor. Whoever picked the colors, kudos. I love the blue. That's so good. We're getting some new colors.
Any other discussion, Vice Mayor? No questions at this
No,
point?
that's it.
Thank you. Gabby?
Love the project, love the architecture, very excited about it. Thank you for bringing it to us, everyone. And just a comment on the corridor plan, maybe something we address in the future is I think we should require interior sidewalks, not to create additional complications for developers, but there's a wheelchair space in the back. I mean, we're gonna expect someone in a wheelchair to wheel through the parking lot without a sidewalk to get to the front. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So from a safety perspective, I would rather have that in the corridor plan than some of the other things. And then just a comment about the MPD building. I don't think it's necessarily that it's so close to the road's the issue. I think there's some issues with architecture visually and that there's no front entrance. If you were trying to make it pedestrian friendly from where every time I run by it, there's really no entrance to any of those. You know, when it was Winter's Grill, you had to go around the back to get there. So I think that's a different story, but love the project and I think I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I'll give you my 2 cents. I mean, I think I shop the way other people do. We want to go places where other people, obviously appear to go, Bay Arbor Place, City Fish, Flamestone. When you pull up and you see 2 rows of parking, obviously people think it's good. And I mean, I think that's key to retail, in my opinion. And I think to that building at St. Pete Drive and Tampa Road, I mean, and it's exactly kind of what the applicant, I believe, indicated, which is if you put the majority of the parking in the back, you almost force that, as with that building at St. Pete and Tampa Road, you almost force the front of the building to be in the back. And I can't think of an uglier building along Tampa Road with air conditioners and fences and everything on the back of that building. And I know we obviously clearly made a mistake, but I mean, because we don't know what really this is going to look like, and we know what Flamestone and City Fish and Bay Arbor and I guess Thornton's has got double row parking, which they just got approved. I mean, I like it. I agree with Councilmember McGee that it would be nice to see sidewalks because, again, if you were going to put 3 rows of parking in the back, unlike Bay Arbor where you can walk up both sides without walking down the drive aisle, especially at night, you're creating a safety hazard there. So those are my comments. Any other comments? If not, I'm going to have Tom reread the motion for us.
Yeah, I just want to make it absolutely clear because there's some confusion between 64 and 66 and 82 and 86. If you approve this site plan as it's been presented, you will be approving a variance that increases the maximum front yard setback within the Tampa Road corridor from 35 feet to 86.26 feet. That's the motion on the floor right now.
Correct. Is that that's at the maximum because they were saying it's skewed, but that's the maximum setback, so we need to go with that.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. If you went with the 82, you would basically be slicing off 4 foot of the front of the building as we get to the other corner.
Got you. So we're going to the higher end to do the variance. That makes the most sense. Okay. That's the motion. We got a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Councilmember Beefeler?
Yes.
Councilmember Roniker?
Vote aye.
Councilmember McGee?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
The site plan and the variance is approved, 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it done yet?
Next week.
It'll be done next week? Race Thornton's, would you?
Okay, you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, council members, item number 13.
Can we take the discussion outside, please? Thank you.
Okay, item number 13 in your agenda is the second reading and public hearing of ordinance 2014-05, annexing 2 West Oldsmar parcels owned by FDOT. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2014-05, an ordinance declaring the intention of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, to annex certain real properties located in section 22, township 28 South, range 16 East, further described as 0 Shore Boulevard, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 966, 60, 001-0030, and 0 Phoenix Avenue, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96660 009 0180 into the corporate limits of the city of Oldsmar and providing for the effective date of this ordinance. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2014-05 by title only.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion is second. We'll have
He said
discussion,
yes.
but,
He said yes.
well, we got to call roll. We can't just
Oh.
say yes.
Well, actually, it's a public hearing.
I know, yeah. I was going to wait for him to come back so we could hear it, the public not speak. Does anybody wish to address this? Does anybody wish to address this item, just in general? Seeing no one, I'll close the citizens' open forum, or the public hearing, and we'll wait patiently for, he's probably out there. Did he go all the way outside?
Gonna have to go right after him. No, he went around that way, I think.
Yeah, we can vote. Go ahead and call the roll.
Can you yell from the bathroom? They can hear us.
Councilmember Roniker?
Aye.
Councilmember McGee?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2014-05, annexing 2 West Oldsmar parcels owned by FDOT is approved 4-0.
I feel bad annexing property without Beaverland here. Yes.
And based on these 2 annexations, we just received another application today for West Oldsmar.
Was it the mower guy?
No.
Okay.
We need to get him.
We did reach out to the mower guy, right?
Yeah, he was here at the meeting.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for Jerry to say one at a time, though.
We didn't. We voted without him, 4-0 it passed. An annex happened without you. Anything else?
One more at a time.
That was 2.
Thank you. 2 at a time.
City manager / citizen of the year.
Agenda item 14, adopt resolution 2014-08, renewing street sweeping agreement with FDOT. City Council is requested to approve resolution 2014-08, which authorizes the city manager to execute roadway sweeping maintenance agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation. The current sweeping maintenance agreement expires on August 5th, 2014. This is something that happens annually, and I'll read the resolution 2014-08 by title only. A resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute an FDOT primary roadway sweeping maintenance agreement between the State of Florida Department of Transportation, District 7, an agency of the State of Florida, and the City of Oldsmar, Florida, a municipal corporation, authorizing the city to continue to perform mechanical vacuum roadway sweeping services on the state highways located within the city limits and providing for an effective date thereof. The city manager recommends adoption of this resolution.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Yes.
Any discussion on this item? It's a great item that we renew. The city of, the DOT pays us to, to do this for them, and oftentimes we wind up being able to do it cheaper than they pay us for it. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you.
4-0.
Oh, 4-0. Sorry, I didn't see her leave.
Dropping like flies.
Agenda item 15, authorize city manager to execute return on investment letter requested by the governor's office for the BMX grant. This is just a normal letter that they seem to do, and he just needs your approval to sign the letter.
Okay.
And the city manager recommends.
Need a motion?
Yep.
So moved.
And a second. I talked to him about this. I mean, we felt like if we deviated from this at all, shorten the time frame, lengthen the time frame, change the dollar amount, that it wouldn't be looked at as favorably. Al, I think, ran some numbers. Here?
Nope.
Thought he was. You know, and we're coming in at numbers of, 1.3. I asked Bruce, kind of how do you calculate it and how do you measure it going forward? It's a letter that's asking for stuff, but it really doesn't give you direction as to, how you demonstrate that you've produced the $1.27 million. The other point that I made was, no matter who wins the election, the governor that's asking for this will not be in office on December of 2019 when we have to justify it. So we think it's just a paperworking thing that they're justifying things on their end. So I'm fine with it. We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
I don't know. Did someone make the second? I didn't hear a second.
I did. I said it softly after Jerry said the motion.
Okay.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Okay.
Thank you. Agenda item 16, authorize removal of baseball field number 5 at Canal Park. Request city council authorization to remove baseball field number 5 in adjacent bullpen area at Canal Park. The removal of the field and adjacent practice area will provide additional area required for development of the BMX Supercross track. Leisure Services Advisory Board recommended approval to remove the field at the regular meeting on May 12, 2014. An aerial map is attached for your review depicting the development area for new BMX track. City manager recommends approval of this authorization to remove the baseball field.
Need a motion?
Got it.
Second?
Second. You can't motion and second.
Just a vote, so.
All right, I'm just going to go take a bathroom break. You don't need me. Just vote without me.
We need a motion and a second, and I think we feel pretty comfortable that the city manager met with Senator Latvala and Representative Hooper. Representative Hooper's the one that put the money in the bill. Both of them feel very good that this is going to go through. Senator Latvala's meeting tomorrow with the governor. They've requested what we feel is more than normal information to support our cause, so we feel like it's going to move forward. And out of the $11 billion they're approving, $1.2 million isn't a great deal amount of money. I think this was more of a letter to protect themselves. And so either way, I think we're going to get that, or the Tourist Development Council will probably help us out if it changes in any certain way. So, I think the removal is not premature at all. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I have a comment first.
Sorry.
Something that I brought up at the last meeting. I still say that you need to have a letter signed to Jack and to Ed
We're working
and
on
to
it.
Grant, signed by this council, thanking them for the effort they did.
We were working on it. We didn't want to be too premature. We wanted to make sure that we felt pretty good that we were going to get it. I'm actually reaching out to the governor on this particular item as well. So definitely we'll be doing that. And I have some comments to further about the BMX and council comments. But
I did speak to Senator Latvala today and asked him if we needed to do anything before his meeting with the governor. He was pretty confident that we were going to get the funding for it.
I don't think the governor's going to veto this.
No, two things. One, I think it's a great thing, and also the governor needs Pinellas County too.
Right.
So,
And,
and this is a great tourism thing.
He comes here all the time, he likes Oldsmar.
Today was my turn to give the city manager, city council award, and my recipient is going to be Representative Hooper, who couldn't be here today, but hopefully when it comes at the next meeting, we'll have the funding.
Perfect selection. Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Nothing else. City clerk.
Nothing tonight.
We do have something. What was it we said we have?
Do we have something?
Oh, Memorial Day.
Oh, Memorial Day.
The Memorial Day ceremony will be Monday, May 26, 10 a.m., Veterans Memorial Park.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks.
And Chris Tate's birthday.
That was today.
That was today.
Oh, did he steal one from you? Birthday girl.
I wished her a happy birthday.
Nothing else? Thank you. City Council, comments by councils, Vice Mayor Norris.
I just wanted to congratulate Ann again. I was out of town, so I wasn't able to be there, but you were in my thoughts, so congratulations. And I think the Chamber picked the perfect person for that award. And to all the Citizens Academy graduates, it's a wonderful thing. And just real quick, I went out of town this week to attend my nephew's college graduation from BU, Boston University. And I stayed, instead of in Boston, I stayed in a little town called Hull. And of course, I went on their city website and I saw how many citizens they had and I read about their town and everything. And it's almost the same size as Oldsmar. And it was the cutest, quaintest town. And they had a windmill, one of the windmills. And they got an award from the Department of Energy for innovation in wind power. And their one windmill powers all their schools, all their lights, their city, their street lights, one windmill. And it was quite a tourist attraction, so I thought that was pretty neat, you know. Might be something that we could think about one day in the future, because we're a coastal town. So that was, it was just nice going to another small town close to a big town. Because instead of staying in Boston, we chose to stay in Hull. Like people would choose to stay in Oldsmar, hopefully, that would want to visit Tampa, so.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm glad to be back, though. I just got back like a few hours ago. Yeah, that would be cool.
Anything else, Vice Mayor?
No, that's it.
Councilmember McGee?
Congrats to Jim on running for, can I say that?
Thank you.
Okay, that's very exciting, so congrats. Also wanted to mention, we did the historic home tour on Saturday. It was beautiful out. We had several people that came that didn't live in Oldsmar, so that was really nice. Davis Buse, John Buse, opened up their newest home that they're building right there at Washington and Arlington. That's kind of like the Italianate architecture. Beautiful inside, so I encourage anyone that's looking for property. I know Eddie and Ginger went and saw it, and then another like beautiful yellow bungalow on Jefferson also that he's constructing. So great job to them as always. And then Jamie Flynn was in here, but I believe she recently just got married over the weekend. I saw some of the celebration pictures, so just a congrats to Jamie from our fire department on her marriage. And then just real quick, lastly, so I took my mother, and Jerry, are you familiar with Mackinac Island? Have you ever been there? You have?
No.
Oh, so I took my mother for Mother's Day weekend to a little island north of Michigan called Mackinac Island, and she'd always wanted to go there. And there is a hotel there that was built in the late 1800s, a wooden hotel, very similar.
Big one?
Huge. It is the world's, I think it's the U.S. largest summer hotel and has the world's largest front porch.
The world's largest front porch.
The porch is huge. It's just got these white columns. It looks very similar to the Bellevue Biltmore in the sense that it's got the white clapboard and the green roofing. And of course, it has a great view of the Straits of Mackinac and the bridge, but it was such a neat place to stay. I would encourage anyone to go there. The island, you have to get there by ferry. You can only get there by ferry or plane. It has a small airport. They don't allow cars on the island unless you're like emergency services vehicle. So everyone has to bicycle. And there's people that live on this island year round, bicycle or ride horses. And they have horse-drawn carriage that takes you back and forth to the hotel.
A hotel.
It was gorgeous. And it was really, it's like stepping back in time, being on the island and
That's
visiting.
the movie was made. Back
Yep,
in time.
Somewhere in Time. That was my mother's favorite movie. So just wanted to mention that. We loved it. It was great. And I would encourage anyone that wants to take a vacation and see some history to make a trip there. So that's it.
That's it.
Your Facebook photos were beautiful.
It was
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I follow
Loved
it.
it.
I feel like I've been there now. Councilmember Beaverland.
I got a few things here. Number one, I think we need to re-examine our notices, how we send notices out. Especially, I think you're going to find out that the people on Canal Way was not ever noticed on when something goes down the middle of a street, we notice both sides. On Canal Way, that was considered not in Gulf Air, but it was considered on the canal, and I doubt there was any notices given to those people on any of this. And I think that we need to re-examine how we send notices out. I don't like the way we send notices out anyway because they don't tell you anything. When I was president of the Pine Hills Planning Council, people got a notice they was going to have a utility change. Well, we'd already went through that in the city of Oldsmar, so I brought that up. What kind of utility change? Because the Pine Hills Planning Council was going to recommend it. I said, what kind of a utility change are you talking about? Well, a regular utility change, the people that was going to do it. I said, what kind are you going to do? You know what it was? They were going to move the big transmission lines from their property right next door to a subdivision. Well, that didn't fly. So our notices, we follow the law, but we don't tell anybody in our notices. But anyway, we need to re-examine those, how we send notices out. Because I will tell you, I think you're going to find out that people in Canal Way was never notified about any of the trails. As far as notices, you may prove me wrong. I hope you prove me wrong, but I don't think you will. And I would also suggest that the city re-examine Tampa Road Corridor 3.17.3, revisit that so we don't run into this again. We need to revisit that. So I would suggest acting city manager or mayor that gets on the agenda sometime, somewhere. Okay?
I agree.
Okay, and congratulations, Ann.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got to revisit Tampa Corridor. Happy birthday to Chris. We have a lot of good leisure services board, all the boards in town. I talked to Bruce about this, and he didn't argue with me. He didn't say it was a bad idea. I think the leisure, and this is something for you, the Leisure Citizens Board, when they make a decision, like the statues or the 5K race that I bet none of y'all knew anything about, that happened just this past week.
Oh, believe me, I do.
Captain Billig Foundation, yeah.
Okay, see, but when somebody says, well, why they run in front of my house? I don't know. Nobody ever told this council that I know of. No, nobody told, individual council members may have known. Any kind of decision that's made at the Leisure Citizens Board needs to come before the city manager, so he can either veto it or whatever before it gets to this board. Because maybe I'm not explaining myself right, but it's he needs to go over all of those decisions that are outside of what you think is what they normally do.
I think we found in this particular case that what we need to do is do a better job of communicating on several levels.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I agree.
There was the communication on that fell totally apart.
There are several things that happened with that, but yeah, you're
Was
right.
the melanoma run on the list that we normally get at the last council meeting? I
No.
don't remember, okay. So I think that was just, because that list has been helpful, I think, seeing all the upcoming events, so.
Oh, the one that Deb puts together, yeah.
I think that just missed that one particular.
But things like that, some things should never get before council. Should not get before council before it goes before Bruce. I mean, and that statue was one of them, in my opinion. That's my opinion. That should never gotten before this council. It should have been taken care of before it got here. And Gabby, thank you for what you do with the historical walk.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for the run.
Jim?
Well, first I got to say happy birthday to Chris. I talked to Chris today and did not know it was her birthday. And why don't you guys, oh, you weren't there. Why don't you tell me, Ann? Oh, you did? Sorry. I'm sorry, Chris. But getting back to the corridor plan, we do need to talk about it because it's very subjective the way it is right now. Just depending on who's looking at it, it could go either way, and I'd like to see that shored up. But that last plan, I want to commend staff because the application was 305 pages, and I read it twice, so that's 610 pages. It took a long time to read that thing. But I think that project is a good project. I think the Thornton's project is a good project. So I just don't want to see something like that hamper development coming into the city when it's so hard and there's so much competition between us and other cities. I think it's important that we get together, have a work session or whatever to vet it and to go through it. It's going to be a living document. It's going to be something that's going to change from time to time. We're going to make mistakes on it, figure out, we'll learn our ways. But right now there's, in my opinion, there's some big gaping holes in it, so to speak, and I think it does need to be shorn up. And last, it was an honor for me to present Ann the award. I tried to do the best I could to not let her know that it was her while I was giving the award out. Eventually, it became too obvious when I had to say her name, but
Yeah, but even when you
congratulations.
said our city clerk, and she goes, is that me?
So congratulations, Ann.
Thank you.
And that's all I got.
I don't have a lot. Congratulations, Jim, on deciding to run for seat 4. It's great. I think you'll be a great representative for the city of Oldsmar, which is always what we're looking for. I don't have a lot. We got Freedom Fest coming up this weekend. The weather's supposed to be great. It's one of the great events that we put on downtown that hopefully now that the economy's starting to turn around, we'll get some positive exposure. We started that thing probably at the bottom of the economy, 6 years ago. And, people are looking at the Galleria and saying, gosh, why don't you put more in there? Because we're in 2006, same reason people are losing their houses, And so I think it's great exposure for us. The Galleria has turned over, to new owners. Well, it's back to the bank and they're, looking for owners. So I think that's great. And, it's about our country. So when you get out there, if you see a veteran, make sure that you thank them and everybody that's out there serving our country. I don't know if Bruce, well, too bad I'm going to say it anyway. Should have been here if you didn't want me to say it. It's great. We had a conversation today about the agenda item about the BMX track. And then he mentioned something else that's kind of interesting, and I proposed an idea to him, and maybe he had already thought of it, and Lynn may have knows about it. What city is the track where they were looking to put the headquarters? Huh?
Gilbert, Arizona.
Gilbert, Arizona. They were looking to put a track and the world headquarters for USA BMX, and they turned them down because they were going to give them the land, and they immediately said, well, we're already